So recently I got the idea to make a video discussing how you can potentially increase your car's value before you go to sell it, and a few steps that you can take to help get the most money for your car. Now, I'm not foreshadowing at me selling either car, because I'm definitely not. So don't take that the wrong way, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get into these 6 ways that you can increase the value of your car. So the first way that you can increase the value of your car is to keep all the maintenance receipts and all the records of work that you've done to the car. So what I mean by that is, if you go to a dealership or something to get your oil changed, keep that receipt, because when you go to sell that car, if the buyer has half a brain, they're going to ask you, do you have maintenance receipts? That way I know, when the oil was last changed, when you last flushed the fluids. I can check, if you've ever had any major problems with the car, when you last had the battery replaced, the alternator, spark plugs, etc., etc. So you want to keep all of the records that you can. Now, my dad actually gave me a sheet when I bought this car, and I have one for the Miata too, that has about 14 different boxes, and each box, whenever you work on the car, like whenever you change the oil, rotate the tires, or do any work to the car whatsoever, you just write down what you did and what date and who did it. So that really helps when you go to sell the car, so that way the potential buyer can see, okay, so the oil was last changed 3 months ago at this mileage, so the oil's still probably good for another 3,000 miles. Because if you don't have any maintenance records or receipts or anything, the buyer has no way of knowing that you did change the oil regularly or that you did keep up on maintenance. Even if you did, it's hard to trust people, and I'm not saying that you guys are untrustworthy or anyone is untrustworthy, but when you're buying a car off of Craigslist or eBay or something like that, you have to be very, very conservative and very attentive to everything that they say, and you really have to pay attention to every little detail, because there are a lot of scammers out there who will try to just get your money and give you a shit box. So the second way to increase the value of your car is to keep it looking nice. So what I mean by that is wash it regularly, make sure that there's no big dents, scratches, dings, because that can all hurt the value of the car. Because as you guys know, when I bought this car, I basically had to replace the entire front end because of all the tar that was on it. Now, I still haven't gotten the hood painted, but I have replaced the bumper fender as well as the rear bumper. So, that all cost me probably about $800 for the parts and to paint them. Because if you're buying a car that has body damage, or if it needs a new door panel or whatever it needs, that's going to cost the buyer money. So they're going to say, okay, it needs this will cost me $100, so that means that I'm going to offer them $100 less now to help make up for that. If you can do everything in your power to avoid getting the car scratched, you want to make sure that you wash it regularly. You don't want to park it out in the sun. You also, if you have leather interior, or if you have sensitive materials, we'll say, on the inside, I always put up a sunshade. Every time I park the car, I put a sunshade up to help protect the leather, because it is in nearly perfect condition after 14 years, which I'm very proud of. So you definitely want to be able to keep the car looking as nice as possible, because that is a big selling point when you see a car that at least looks nice. So third on the list is make sure that everything works. So this might sound a little bit dumb and very vague, but what I mean by that is make sure all the buttons on the interior work, make sure all the windows go up and down, make sure the trunk releases like it should. Everything that should work, make sure it works. And that also goes for under the hood. Make sure the car is running smoothly mechanically. Try to get rid of that check engine light, and I don't mean just erase it and don't actually fix the problem. Actually fix the problem, because when you buy a car that has a check engine light on, it could be a $10 repair or it could be a $1,000 repair. You really never know. So you want to make sure that everything works in the car, and that the next owner will not have to have it looked at for a check engine light and take it to a dealership or a shop to have it fixed, because again, that is going to cost them a substantial chunk of change depending on how severe the issue is, and that is going to again hurt the value of the car. So next up, make sure that the tires and brakes are in good shape. Now, when I bought this car, it had just had tires put on it, And although you guys do know that I did get new wheels, those tires were just slapped on my mom's car because she needed new tires, so they didn't go to waste. But that car had pretty much brand new tires on it. The brakes do need to be replaced soon, at least the pads do. But new tires are probably going to cost you at least $400 to $500 if you're getting the cheap tires, and anywhere up to maybe $1,000 if you want to get nicer tires. So if you are selling your car with crappy tires, just be aware of that and how that can affect the value. Now, I'm not saying put new tires on it before you sell it, because that would not be very smart, because if you spend $500 on new tires, it's maybe going to add $100 to the value of the car. So that's not a very smart investment. And the same goes for the brakes. Now, the brakes should be checked regularly and they should be replaced every now and then, especially when you can feel that they're starting to fade. So the fifth way to increase the value of your car is to watch the mileage. So obviously, the less miles on a car, the more it's worth. So my car currently has 128,000 miles on it, and when I bought it, it had 112,000. So I mean, maybe that 16,000 miles maybe affected the value by like $100. I mean, it really, once you get up there, it doesn't really affect the value that much. But if you're trying to sell a car that's much newer, maybe like 2010 and newer, and it has like 150,000 miles on it, that's a lot of miles, and that is drastically going to hurt the value of the car. And on the other hand, if you keep it at lower miles, especially with a newer car like I just said, it will certainly help out the value. Ooh, there's a big backfire. So the sixth way to increase the value of your car is to talk good about it. Now, I'm not saying lie, because you also want to be honest, but you don't want to say, yeah, this thing doesn't work, the car is complete trash, whatever. You want to talk good about it. You want to say, yeah, all this stuff works. You want to put a positive twist on everything. You want to sell it. You don't want to hurt the value of it by talking crap about it, if that makes any sense. Now, to go along with that, you also want to be honest, because if you are honest, it does help build trust with potential buyers. Because if you say, yeah, the button to adjust the volume on the radio doesn't work, the brakes are going to need replaced soon, whatever, you know, that's going to help build trust with the buyer. If you're honest with them and tell them everything that's wrong with the car, granted, that could also have a reverse effect where it hurts the car, but you don't want to lie or just intentionally leave certain aspects or facts about the car out in order to try to get a couple $100 extra for the car. So I would definitely try to remain honest, but definitely try to talk as much good about the car as you possibly can. And another point to go along with that, you want to treat the car with respect. Don't spill drinks in here or whatever, eat food in here and spill it everywhere and then not clean it up. I never eat in this car. I am very particular about that. So you always want to respect the car and take good care of it, which kind of ties into like half of the other points that I've already mentioned. So there you have it, guys. There is 6 ways to help increase the value of your car. Now, each of these will vary depending on what car you have, how many miles, where you're trying to sell it, how you're trying to sell it, etc. But these are some general guidelines that can help you with pretty much every car. So if you guys do have some more tips and advice for those who are potentially looking to sell a car, go ahead and leave those suggestions down below in the comments. I'm certainly interested to see what you guys have to say. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see y'all next video.